this is Gina. Today I'm going to show you how to make a caged bell pendant necklace. Now you can do this technique with any pendant you would like. It's very simple technique and it can be adapted to any beads, any pendant that you would like. You don't even have to put a pendant on here. You can just do the dangles on the end and do the rest the same way. You can adapt this very easy to beads that you have because you can use any shape, size, color. It does not matter. This technique will work with anything that you have. I also show you how to make this very easy set of hammered end earrings here, and let me show you what it looks like. They're really cute little earrings and very simple, fast to do, so I'll show you how to do that also. I'd like to apologize simply because I haven't done videos since my last couple for this treasure bag. It's because I've been sick, so I apologize for that. I went on a little trip to Nebraska to see my grandbaby, and when I came back I got very sick, so I've been kind of taking it easy, and I hope you understand, but now I will try to get some tutorials going for you fairly quickly so we can finish up our treasure bags and maybe do a couple other things in between too. So that's what this looks like. This is really pretty, and as I said, it's using the Enchanted Jewels Treasure Bag, but you can use whatever is in your stash. Especially for the earrings, these can be adapted really quickly to almost any beads that you have, and you can make them look so many different ways. So stay tuned and let's get started. Okay, for this project today, we're going to be using several things that you can find in the Enchanted Jewels Treasure Bag. However, this is a techniques video as always, and you can always follow along to get some inspiration to use with the things in your own stash. I will eventually have a bunch of these bell pendants online for you to get if you would like some. I have some on order in different metal colors and stuff and different sizes and shapes because I think they're neat and I like them. So the first thing we're going to use is the pendant that came in the treasure bag, and this is a little bell pendant, and it's a cage with a bell inside, and we're going to be using that pendant. Let's see if this one rings well. Some of them aren't quite as ringy as others, but that's what we're going to use for a pendant. You can use any pendant you'd like as long as it has a nice big bail on it. And then we are going to use the green crystals that came in the bag. These are just a large bicone crystal. They're like 9 by 13 or something like that. Just any large crystal. You could use a large rondelle, whatever you would like. And then I'm going to be using a mix of the beads, the smaller beads that were in the bag. You can use anything you'd like. These are 3 by 4 rondelles in lavender, and then I have the little flat round 4mm green crystals that were in there. You can use any small crystals that you would like. And then I've got a 6 by 5 rondelle in the rosaline, and I've got some 3mm rose colored non-magnetic synthetic hematite beads, and I'm just going to use a few of those. I'm going to try to mix some of the darker rose tones with the copper and the lighter and just mix them together. So I've got some eye pins and head pins. You're going to need a few long eye pins, probably about 4 or maybe probably around 4. I'm designing this, and then some longer head pins, and then I've got some of these little short ones. Of course, you can use all long if you'd like, and I'm mixing the dark antique copper with the rose gold tone simply because that's what I have, and because I kind of like the contrast of colors. I'm going to use the small toggle clasp that came in the bag. You can use any clasping you'd like. I'm going to use some of the 8mm round glass pearls that were in the bag, and I'm going to use some chain. I'm also going to be using some jump rings. You'll need one larger jump ring. This is 10mm around, and then several smaller ones that are around 7-8mm around. And I'm using a dark one and light ones, just what I have, and like I said, I like the contrast of color there. So that is what we'll be using, probably some of the chain too, and I've added just a few of these darker copper colored spacer beads from my own stash, just again for some contrast in color. So you can use anything you'd like. You could use a seed bead in a bronze or something like that. I have a few 11-0 rose gold seed beads out too that I may add to my components. We're going to be making components and attaching them together. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to move this back and I'll show you the components that I am going to make, and we'll get those all made and then we'll put the necklace together. Okay. So the first component we're going to make will look like this. We're going to use the bigger green crystal and we're going to make 4 of these. You're going to need a longer eye pin, and because I have some very short ones too I will be working with, but you want a decent length. This is probably about 1.5 inches, 2 inches long. And then I am going to pick up onto this eye pin my 3mm round rose gold colored bead. And sometimes these little beads are stuck together. If your strand comes and they're kind of stuck together, you can just use your end cutters between them very gently. All you have to do is barely touch it and they'll come apart. Just a hint there. Now, I've dropped that bead down. I'm going to pick up the crystal, and excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm suffering from a cold. I apologize for the weird noises. And then I'm just going to drop another round bead. So we've got a round bead, a crystal, a round bead on the eye pin, and then right above this last bead that I've put on, I'm going to place my flat nose pliers just slightly above that bead and bend the wire over into a 90-degree angle like this. And then I'm going to cut this excess wire down on top here to about 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to grab my round nose pliers and just a little ways down. I don't want a big loop, and the further down you go on your plier, the bigger loop you're going to get. You're going to place your plier on, and you're going to make sure that that wire is flush with the back of the plier here. And then you're going to begin to turn, and just turn as far as you can, and then take your pliers out, turn them over, put them back into the loop, and continue to turn until you get a nice loop, just like that. Now you can adjust the loop and straighten it out. You can close it more with your pliers, and then you want to make sure both of your ends are the same angle. So just grab a flat nose, a couple pairs of flat nose and a chain nose, whatever, and just grab onto those loops and adjust them so that they are laying the same way, just like this. And you're going to make 4 of these components. Okay, so I have made all 4 of my crystals into components. Now I'm going to make 4 components like this with the pearl and the 6x5 rondelles, and I have some 11-0 seed beads dividing them. However, if your 11-0s will not fit onto your wire, sometimes you have to try a few different ones to get it to go. If that doesn't work, then use an 8-0 seed bead. It doesn't have to be an 11-0. I just wanted to use an 11-0 because it's the color I wanted. And I didn't have it in 8-0. So that's why I'm doing that. Now, I have another long eye pin. I'm going to close the end of this eye pin because these don't seem to be closed. So I'm just going to lift it and then shimmy it and push it down towards the long part of the wire and close that loop. And then I'm going to pick up an 11-0, and let's see if it'll fit on this wire. Try a different one. An 11-0, and then I'm going to pick up a rondelle, and then another 11-0, and then a pearl. These are 8mm round pearls, and then another 11-0, and then another rondelle, and then another 11-0. Whoops. And That's what this component will consist of. And again, I'm going to hold on to it, and right above that 11-0 seed bead, I am going to bend my wire over, just like this. And then I'm going to place it over my finger, and I'm going to cut it about 1/4 inch long. I'm going to grab my chain or my round nose pliers, place it at the end of the wire, and again, turn a loop as far as I can turn, and then I just take my pliers out, turn them over, which positions your hand so you can continue rolling, and then just roll it all the way down. And then I can take the tip and I can adjust the end here, because a lot of times when you have a little bead at the end, you have to kind of manipulate your wire around it. But that's your next component. And then of course I will grab my pliers, because I don't pay attention to how I'm rolling them to make sure the wires are the same. I just adjust it after I'm done by turning them with 2 pairs of pliers. Because even if I pay attention, it turns in my hand, and that happens anyway. So I just adjust it afterwards. You're going to go ahead and make 4 of these components, and we'll be back. Okay, so, well, yes, I have all 4 of my components made of my bigger beads. Now I'm just going to make a few components, probably 4 or 5. You can make as many or as few as you would like. Once you see what I'm doing with them, you can make more if you'd like. I'm just going to use some of these smaller beads. I have a little hodgepodge of my smaller beads here, and I'm going to use some shorter pins, and these are head pins. And let's see, those might be too short, but let's try it and see what we're going to do here. You can use whatever length you'd like. You just have to cut it down when you go to turn it. So I am going to start with, I'm just going to put 2 green ones on here, and then I'm going to put a round bead like this. And you can see I made a little purple one here. You can make them whatever mix you'd like. Here I have a light purple, a dark purple, and a light purple. And then here I have one of my darker beads, my 4mm round spacers, and then I have a 6x5, and I have one of the flat 4mm rounds. And then here I have another unit like I'm going to show you how to make. You can make them any way you'd like. Don't make them more than 3 beads long, because they get too long and they stick out too straight. So this is what I've made so far. I'm going to show you how I did it. So I've slid my beads on this little eye pin, or head pin, excuse me. And now I'm just going to hold it in my fingers like this, and then I'm going to bend it over the top. And with these, I don't have to cut them because they're short. So I'm just going to grab the end of it. I might cut it just slightly because the end is a little jaggedy. So I'll flush cut it just a little bit. And if they're a little long, you can cut them down a little bit. And then I'm going to place my plier and roll, and then turn my plier over and continue to roll. And then I can take my plier out and adjust a little bit my loop the way I want it to look. Close it, and that's how you'll make those components. Now I have made about, I think I'm going to have about 5 of them. I have them made like this, and I've just made, like I said, a little hodgepodge of different colors here. You can make them any way you'd like, and then we are going to grab the bigger jump ring. Let me get some of this stuff out of my way here. We're going to grab this bigger jump ring, and this is a 10mm jump ring. So you want to make sure it's at least that big. You can have it even bigger if you'd like, but this is a 10mm, and it's a pretty heavy gauge, so it will hold all of my stuff together. And I'm just placing my pliers on either side of the opening and twisting it open like this. I'm going to begin by dropping the pendant onto the jump ring here. And then I'm going to grab my small little pliers here, and I'm just going to hold down towards the bottom of the jump ring so that I can start to put some of my beads on. And I did not show you, we need to make some little units of pearls, so let's do that first. I'll show you how to do a pearl. I've made 4 of these pearls, and I did it off camera and then I forgot to show you. So I've done a couple in the lighter wire and I've done it in the darker wire, just 2 of them, just to kind of have the contrast of color. Doesn't matter, not important. Drop the bead down and then grab your flat nose pliers right on top of the pearl, just slightly above it. Roll your wire over into a 90-degree angle. Again, cut into about 1/4 of an inch long, and then grab your plier and just start to roll as far as you can. Turn your plier over and continue to roll. And then if it's not centered, like mine isn't perfectly centered, you can put your plier towards the back of the loop, bend it over, and then bring the front in and close it. And then you can have a perfect loop, just like that. So you're going to want 4 of those, and 4 to 5 of these little components like this, 4 components like this, and 4 components like this. Then we are going to grab our bigger jump ring, open it, slide on the pendant, and then I'm going to hold the jump ring towards the bottom here just so that I can manipulate putting on my dangles. So I'm going to use these smaller components first, and I'm going to just drop them on either side. So I'm going to drop one here, and even though I'm holding on this side, I can just drop it on either side of the pendant, just like that. And then I'm going to do this color on this side, and then I think I'm going to hold my pendant down here further, and this one on this side. And then do I want another one? I think I just want 4. So I'm going to drop those down, and then I'm going to pick up my pearls and I'm going to put them on either side. I'm just holding down here by the pendant here. I hope I'm in camera. That would have really stunk. So I've dropped those on, and then I'm going to put a pearl on this side, and then I'm going to put a pearl on this side. I want the pearls up towards the top because they're a little shorter. So the dangle will look more, they'll lay nicer if you have the shorter ones on top and the longer ones on the bottom. Now I'm still holding on to my loop down at the bottom here, right next to where the pendant is, and I'm going to drop one of my big green crystals on last. Once you get all your dangles on, you drop one on one side, one on the other side. Then you're going to have to readjust your hands and bring your plier up towards the top, and we're going to close this jump ring. So on either side, I will grab with a plier and just close that tightly. And then I can lift these 2 green components up, and now you can see that I have a nice little bunch of dangles around the top of this pendant. And that's what that looks like. Now I can start building from these green components out. So this will be part of the long part that goes around the neck. So the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to pick up one of my 7 to 8 millimeter round jump rings, and I'm going to open it, and I'm going to pop it onto the loop on this one, and then I'm going to grab one of my pearl components and put it on, and then I'm going to close it. And I'm going to continue doing that on either side, just alternating my components until I run out of them. So I'll put them together like this. And see my messy bead mat here. And I'll put them together like this with the 7 to 8 millimeter jump ring in between, of course, and then we'll be back. Okay, so this is what it looks like once you've put all 4 of your components on. Now, on either side. You can make this longer. You can make other components. You can devise a third type of component with some of the other beads in the back. There's certainly enough of them, and make this longer section. However, I'm just going to put chain towards the back of mine, and I've cut about 4.5 inches, 2 equal portions, 4.5 inches, and I'm going to use the bigger jump ring, since we've been doing that, to connect it. If you want a longer necklace, mine is going to end up to be about 19 inches, 18, 19 inches long. If you want yours to be longer, then cut more chain. If you want it to be shorter, then of course cut less chain. But I am using 4.5 inches. I've got my small clasp, and I've decided to get out 2 smaller jump rings to put the clasping part on with, and then I have my 2 7 to 8 millimeter jump rings to put on the bottom part of the chain. Now I'm going to open this jump ring, and just like this, just twist it open, and then I'm going to put it on my last loop. Then I'm going to drop my chain on and close it. Now you can use a smaller one here too, but I thought, well, because I'm using the bigger ones, I wanted to see what it looked like against the chain, and I think it's fine. It should work out just fine, because I've used bigger ones down here too, so it'll be okay. If you want to use a smaller one, of course, it's your necklace. You do what you want. And then we're going to put another one on this side. And close it. I think I just distorted my jump ring. Oh, darn it. No, I think it's okay. And then I am going to use these smaller jump rings, and I'm going to open them just like I've been opening my bigger ones. Put your pliers on either side of the opening, twist it open, excuse me, and then you're going to put it on the chain, and then put it on the clasp and close it. And we'll do the other side the same way. And then our necklace will be finished. And this is a pretty quick moving project, and it turns out really pretty. And of course, you can do this with any pendant that you would like, and any beads that you want. Just make components and put them together. Throw a couple dangles on a jump ring around a pendant, and you've got it. Get this together here, and I'll come back and show it. And here it is. I think it's really pretty. I love these little angel bells. I think they're fun to wear. I have one that I wear quite often that's in a silver tone. And like I said, I will be ordering some of these. Well, I have ordered them. They're just not in yet. So if you want to get an angel bell, then they will be available eventually. So just keep checking the website and in the pendant section, and you'll see them come up pretty darn soon. So this is the necklace. I think I'm going to go ahead and throw together a little pair of earrings real quick. Let me gather some materials, and we'll make a real simple earring, and we'll have a set. Okay, so I have designed an earring off camera, and it's a very simple earring, really cute. I'm going to show you how to make this. Now, what you're going to need is an ear wire, and you're going to need 3 eye pins, and you need one that is a little longer than the other 2. Make sure the other 2 are the same length. Then you're going to need a 10 millimeter round jump ring, just like this, like we used on the necklace. And of course you're going to double all of this because I've already made one. So you're going to double everything I'm showing you. We're going to use 8 millimeter round pearl. We're going to use 2 of the green flat beads, and this one's a little weird, so I think I'm going to get another one when I make my component here. Let's see, I've got one right there. That one is not the right shape. Okay, so I'm using 2 of the little green flat ones, 2 of the lavender, 2 of the dark purple. I'm going to be using some 11 seed beads just for a stop at the bottom here. If your wires will not accommodate 11 use an 8 something smaller. We want to use it as a stop, and I'll show you what I mean. So this is what we're going to be using, and let's go ahead and get started. So you're going to need a hammer, and I have my little dabbing hammer here, and then you're going to need a bench block or something hard you can hammer on. So I've got my bench block. Let me back off a little bit here. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with the long component here. So we've got 3 components on this earring. We're going to start with the long component, and we're going to put a pearl on it. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to slide on your pearl, and then you're going to slide on an 11 seed bead, just like this. And then we're going to put the end of this wire on the bench block, and we're just going to hammer it and flatten it and widen the end of it. It takes several taps, and you can see, let me get you really close. You can see that my wire has now flattened on the bottom here. I'm going to give it a couple more taps, and it just kind of spatulates. And then we're going to drop this down and make sure that it doesn't travel over the widening of the wire that we just created, and this works fine. And that's why I put 11 on it, because you don't have to flare out your head pin that much, and it depends on the thickness of your head pin how much you have to flare it. So I have put the 11 on for that. And then you're going to take one of your smaller or your shorter eye pins, and I have decided that I want to put on to mine lavender, come here, and then a purple, and then I'm going to put on a green flat bead, and then I'm going to put on an 11 seed bead. And this wire is kind of bent. I might have to get another one. Might not allow my 11 to go on. There we go. Okay, so I've got a lavender, a purple, and a green. I was probably out of camera, but I just slid them on the eye pin, just as simple as that. And then I'm going to move them up towards the top so that I don't break my seed beads. Lay it on the edge of my bench block and just tap until I can widen the end of this wire, and then test it, make sure that your seed bead isn't going to go over it, and you have finished it. Go ahead and make another one just like this, so you'll have a pearl, and then you'll have 2 just like this, and we'll be back. Okay, now that we have all 3 of our little components here, it's just a matter of sliding them on the jump ring and putting them on the ear wire. So, excuse me, I'm sorry. We're going to open the jump ring, and I am going to put on one of the little components, and then the pearl component, and then another of the little ones. So you have the pearl in the middle and your smaller components on either side, just like this. And then I'm going to close the jump ring. Now, if you have an ear wire that has a loop, mine is kind of weird, then you can just slide it on the ear wire and then close the loop. Or you can open the ear wire and put it on the loop and then close it. Or on the jump ring, I mean. You know what I'm talking about. And these ones are kind of weird. So I don't even know where the heck I got those. They're kind of strange. But they're the right color, so I'm using them. So you would just open your jump ring. Mine, I'm just going to slide it on like this, and then I'm going to close this little ball up against the wire part. And I now have an earring. just like this. And it turns out really cute. This jump ring isn't closed quite right, so let me fix that because that's going to bug me. Okay. So now I have 2 earrings, and those are really cute. You can't get much simpler than that. That's very simple, but just so cute. And then let's get this all arranged, and I will show you what the set looks like. And then we'll be done. And I'll find something else to make. I'm sorry it's been so long between videos for this box. Like I said, I just have not felt well. Today is the first day I've actually felt well enough to do anything. So let's do this and look at it. And that is the set. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give me a like and consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so that you will get notifications when I put out a new video, and then we can continue making jewelry together. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.